want to focus on the positives from a weekend where the Houston Astros won 2 out of 3, but I can't because they're still 9 back of Seattle. And even if Ronel Blanco almost had a no-hitter before being pulled in the 7th inning yesterday, and Hunter Brown pitched well on Friday, Justin Verlander being hurt and scratched from his start Saturday with a neck issue has me a bit concerned. And of course, they did cut Jose Abreu. Hooray! But they did it in such a Friday news dump kind of way, Joe George, that didn't involve Jim Crane. And it's still lingering in the air, at least for me.
Yeah, it is. Saturday was weird because, well, let's see, the last time an Astros pitcher had a hurt neck, Christian Javier got Tommy John. So that kind of like raises some red flags about what's going on with the Astros right now. Spencer Arrighetti was terrible. But then, yeah, Jose Abreu was he wasn't good. And they got rid of him finally. But there still leaves this kind of stench a little bit on the team that even though you're 2-3 this weekend, it still leaves this weird... Every article you go to ESPN.com, worst contracts in baseball. Jose Abreu is not number 1. But he's the headline photo.
Well, that's at least a positive.
Yeah, I didn't click on it because it says Jose Abreu is not number 1 in the headline, or at least in like the little blurb. But it's still, everywhere you go for Astros coverage right now, it's still kind of the predominant thing. But it's, hey, at least they won 2 out of 3. That's positive.
Not
That's
enough.
A good thing.
Not enough. Get a sweep. Get an effing sweep. They're the Tigers. How do the Tigers get 19 hits against you over the course of a weekend?
I know.
Or excuse me, not over the course of the weekend, in one game. My bad. That was just Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't care that Verlander got scratched. I mean, they've had plenty of off days. Spencer Arrighetti is back to Spencer spaghetti al dente mode. Like, that was horrible. Just like al dente spaghetti.
Yeah. Do you give him a break because it was a last minute start?
No, he didn't even give himself a break. I'm not giving him a break.
Yeah.
Go out and do your job. The Tigers suck. You should not be this far under 500, and you're 9 back of Seattle now. I mean, you won 2 of 3, and you're 9 back.
You won 2 out of 3. You're
9.
7 back of the wild card. Like, it's not even just the division. Like, you lost ground on the wild card this weekend.
Yep. I mean, at some point, you got to get that second sweep of the year. And don't even try to tell me about that 2-game sweep over the Rockies. That's not a sweep. That's 2 games in a row.
Yeah, it's got to come this week. You got to sweep the White Sox. They're terrible. Their best player is Corey Julks.
Yeah.
Like he's been like their best player since they got him. Him and Corey Lee. You can't lose to those guys. You can't. You dumped both of them.
And look, King of Twitches is pointing out, Tigers suck, but they have a better record than the Astros. Yeah, but they suck. They're the Tigers. We have an air of arrogance about us because this team has been and done what they've done for such a long period of time. There's no excuse for Saturday. 11 runs the first 3 innings. The game's over. 10 runs. My bad. Sorry. It was only 10-0 in the 3rd inning. To me, the ground that you're not making up should be lambasted every single opportunity that you can. And I would like to focus on what Ronel Blanco did yesterday, or to get annoyed. I wish the conversation was, man, I wish they'd let him in to pitch for a no-hitter. But I kind of get why they're not letting him pitch for a no-hitter, because they don't have any depth when it comes to their starting pitching, especially if Justin Verlander's out for a while. And to what you were saying a little bit earlier, Joe, it's a neck issue? Oh, great. I'm sure that won't turn into Tommy John surgery with these Astros 1600s level hacksaw doctors, or whoever the hell is operating and diagnosing what these guys are dealing with.
Yeah, I think Verlander's going to pitch on Wednesday. On Thursday. It's TBD right now, according to the Astros, of who's going to pitch on Thursday. Like, that's what some of the reporters said of who's lined up in the rotation. So, and Verlander himself said there's a chance that he could pitch and only miss 1 start. So, like, fingers crossed that's the case. Because that would make you feel better. Because the pitching depth has just taken so many shots this year. And it even goes back to just like the amount of scratch starts they've had. They've had so many of these this year where guys,
I know,
they're just randomly out. And sometimes they're out for a little bit. Sometimes they're out for a lot of bit. And you hope for Verlander, it's not an injury list thing. It's like the Tucker stuff where he's still not back. At first they were telling us Friday. I don't even know when to expect to see Kyle Tucker again at this point.
Yeah, I don't trust the Astros training staff, medical staff, whoever the hell it is. And it's a little concerning if you hear from Justin Verlander where he says, yeah, I've been dealing with this for a couple of weeks. Oh, okay. Man, you're really handling that one smart. You would think somebody, with age, would get a little bit of wisdom along the way.
Yeah.
I suppose he believes he knows his own body, but I mean, that was something you were dealing with for weeks, and then all of a sudden scratched at the last second after a bullpen session on Wednesday where you said it felt weird.
Yeah, it's because the first initial reactions, he just slept on it weird. He'll be fine.
It happens.
It happens. Like, we're all human. We've seen baseball players miss games for worse things. But then to hear he's been dealing with it for weeks, like, obviously it must not be, like, the worst injury in the world. But with where the Astros are at, I would rather have him rest and get healthy again than be out there pushing it too far. Because if you have any hope this season, and it's dwindling, like there's no, like, even you win 2 out of 3 this weekend, you look at the standings, the Mariners won 6 games last week, and you're 9 games back. The hope is fading quickly for me about the idea of winning the division, about making the playoffs. Because even I get the pushback about, you're saying the Tigers suck. What are the Astros? They also suck. Like, they're also not good enough this year. But the expectations for these franchises are so different. The Astros, you still expect to turn this thing around at some point.
I don't.
The real question is, can they turn it around and make up the ground at the same time? Like, they can play better baseball. They can get above 500 again. I firmly believe that. Can they chase them? Can they push themselves back into a playoff position? I think are almost 2 separate conversations because they dug such a hole.
I trust the boy king, Aegon Targaryen, in House of the Dragon to successfully win that war more so than I trust the Astros to turn this thing around. And coming out of this weekend, winning 2 out of 3. I'm sorry to bring, things into a bit of a downer when it comes to the mood here, but I mean, I just can't look at all the good things that happened over the course of the weekend. I suppose we could focus on the Abreu cut. I don't like that they did this on Friday. I think they could have done this before. I feel like they were trying to hide from everybody, and they do it in this Friday press conference kind of way. Jim Crane's not even there. He's just mysteriously out of town. Dana Brown, poor Dana Brown the whole time, is basically saying, not a decision that I made. Made that clear a couple of times. Felt the need to make it clear that he was the one that led the decision for the release. You have to wonder how long he had been knocking on Jim Crane's door along with Joe Espada to make this officially happen. Here is what Astros manager Joe Espada had to say about the release of Jose Abreu on Friday.
We wanted to give Jose Abreu every opportunity because I think he's earned that. I think we wanted him to succeed, and because he's a big part of our team. But right now it's just time to move on, and we have all the guys that are here to take over that spot, and we need those guys to step up and produce for our lineup.
Espada shouldn't have had to answer that question.
No, and I wish that Jeff Bagwell did a interview for the masses. Like, I appreciate that he did a one-on-one with Brian McTaggart, and they wrote it up on MLB.com. But I feel like he should have answered to more than just Brian. Because even when he says that it just didn't work out when we signed him, if you look at his 22 numbers, back of the baseball card, analytically data-driven, all that, he was the guy to get. It just didn't work out. I thought the Astros were moving away from analytics, Jeff Bagwell. Like, I'm confused. So analytics is what told you to sign an aging player with a lessening bat speed. That makes so much sense, Jeff. Like, he's blaming numbers for his own mistake. It still leaves this cloud over the team. Maybe it's because the way Saturday played out. I do appreciate the fact that, the Astros, when they lose like that, it happens early, so I can just turn it off and go do something else on a Saturday instead of suffering.
Someone asked me if I went to the game, and I was like, I'm sorry, not until they're above 500. I'm not going back to Minute Maid Park.
I'm going Saturday.
At least they're playing the Orioles.
I'm not going for the Astros.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to the opportunity to see, like, Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman.
I mean, that might be the bandwagon I jump on. A lot of guys who used to work for the Astros are in the front office of that team. So, they got orange. I like Syracuse. I feel like that's a natural transition for me. But, yeah, lots to be frustrated about coming out of the weekend. We heard from Joe Espada. We also heard from some of the teammates for Jose Abreu. I do feel for Abreu from this perspective. It doesn't seem like he was actively trying, not trying. He was trying to get good, but it wasn't working out. Here's Mauricio Dubon talking about that.
It's devastating. I mean, he's a good clubhouse guy. obviously he seems quiet around you guys, but he's very vocal to the teammates about giving advice to the young guys, how he views the game. I mean, he's a MVP and everything. I mean, he has a lot to give to the young guys, and just like I said before, just watching him go, it's a gut punch for. It sucks, man. He's a big part of the clubhouse, and just watching him go, it's not good. I mean, we're a family here. That's the thing. It's a gut punch for the vibe in the clubhouse, and just watching him go, it's not good.
It's interesting that they mentioned what a big part he was of the team a couple of times. You heard it from Espada, you heard it from Dubon there. Was he? Oh, okay. I mean, look, they like him. No doubt about it. And there is a human element here, but I think it's interesting that they're talking about that. He was not a big part of anything good.
Yeah.
He was a big part of the struggles for this team.
Watching the Dubon video versus listening to it gives me different reaction. Like watching Dubon, the video from the clubhouse, I felt bad for the guy. Like you could just tell how much they cared about Jose Abreu. It goes back to when he got sent down to Florida, hearing what Alex Bregman had to say about him. Like you just like it's the human element of this that makes it harder for sure, but it's the right move because look what happened this weekend. Mauricio Dubon immediately is making an impact on this team in a much better way than Jose Abreu ever did. Like we joke about restarting the season, but having Dubon in there every single day is so much of a better thing for this team than Jose Abreu. It's one of the things that's the most encouraging from this weekend. Like I hear where he's coming from, but they also have to acknowledge internally, like this is what's best for the team, and they know that. They know that Doobie being out there playing every day, and it should continue even when Tucker returns. He should be, in my opinion, the primary first baseman over John Singleton. He's a better baseball player. He's hitting 300 this season. Like he should be out there playing different positions. He's played every single position on the field this year besides pitcher and catcher.